We are live. Oh, okay. All right. We are live. It's a couple hours after the Iowa women's game has ended. Congratulations to our national runner-ups. Um, it's a great season. I want to first tip my hat to LSU for getting hot on the baskets. 65% at the 3-point line was nothing to sneeze at. This is something they normally don't do. So I will give them credit for the win. Um, they won it. They earned it. There's nothing much else you can say. I know that all of us who watched the game know that this is probably some shitty refereeing out there. It's probably some of the worst that anybody has ever seen. Would that made a difference in the game? I don't know if it would have, but it probably would have kept the score closer. Um, Other than that, and I just want to point out what a great season the women had. And I don't want to be so how proud I am of these women and the coach for how they ended the season very classy, very not in your face type stuff. What that young lady did after the LSU won their game today, chasing Caitlin around the court, showing her ring finger, like we won a ring, you didn't. That's about as classist as I can get. But you know what? That coach is that unclassy too. I mean, she she had nothing but nice things to say to Caitlin tonight as she walked through the line. But I'm gonna guess you in that back room that she was bad mouthing everybody on the Iowa team, and she got upset with the refereeing calls. I don't know why. Most 90% of the calls were in her favor, and it allowed. I don't know. And anyway, we just want to talk about let's focus on how great this season really was. Um, I mean, they won 31 games. That's a record for the women's team. Vivian Stringer got to 29-2. That's back when they played fewer games, and so and um, I wasn't aware of it, but Vivian went to the Final Four twice, back in like '88 and then again in '93. '93 is the only one that anybody mentions. So this is good. I appreciate what Caitlin has done for women's basketball in the state of Iowa, what she's done for it nationally. Just watching their magical run through the tournament, and all the love that Iowa and Caitlin were getting from everybody, all the national media, any media, fans outside of them. Um, it's just, I mean, like I said, it's just too bad things ended up that way. But we kind of want to focus on the positives, and Paul, just talk about your thoughts today, and where you see this team going next year if everybody comes back like they're
Sure.
supposed to.
I'm not going to ignore the elephant in the room. And that was, to an extent, the officiating, right? It was so bad that despite the fact that LSU had, they were in, or yes, they were in the bonus situation in the first quarter and outdrew. I think it was like 8-1 in fouls or something in the first quarter. At the end of the first quarter, they interviewed their drag queen coach, whatever her name is, and she was complaining about the officiating. Okay, so let's not pretend that there wasn't an issue with officiating, because it is what it is. Now, when we got to halftime, the foul shooting situation evened out, right? And so you say, well, the officiating was bad, and it was bad both ways. And I really, really wanted to go that route, but. And by the way, their star, whatever her name is, Pretty Eyes, she's very attractive. She sat in the most of the first half too with
Right.
foul trouble, right? So, but at the same time, you go to that situation, the what fouled out uh, uh, I was about to call her Megan Gustafson. Um,
Pisano?
Cesano, and then there's the technical foul on Clark, which is completely ridiculous. And the people on TV were like, "Oh, the explanation was, oh, it was what she said," and then she threw, and even the people on TV were like, "She never whispered a word and threw the ball towards the referee," and like I really don't know what you say about that. Like, I don't.
Yeah. This is
Yeah,
a championship game, and championship
and
games
you
have been
can't.
known to be loosely refed. And for whatever reason, they weren't. This one was about as tight as refereed as you could get. I mean, they
Whoa,
go in
whoa, whoa, whoa,
spurts.
whoa, whoa, whoa!
I
It
mean,
was tight. It was tight-ish toward the basket, but
mhm,
they were riding Caitlin Clark like
mhm,
she was a school bus up and
right.
down the court. I mean, most of her fouls were because she was trying to create separation in a situation where she shouldn't have to. Like,
Mhm.
it was more than hand checking. It was more than, I mean, like,
Yeah, I believe it was her third foul. She got called. She was trying to, like you said, trying to make room. She was dribbling around the defender. The
right,
defender hooked her arm, and as Caitlin was going down to the ground, they called Caitlin for the foul.
right.
I mean, I how is that not a foul on the other girl? And
And
also, I want to point
all
out
throughout,
too, Caitlin's
all
very
throughout
first
the,
foul early in the game. She's standing there, hands up. She stops. She doesn't touch, bump, or kick or do anything to that runner going by her. And that referee underneath the basket immediately calls a foul on Caitlin. And it's just like, and I don't remember out of the first three fouls. I would know everybody knows what the fourth foul was. But I can't remember what the other foul was. But it was an offensive-minded foul too, probably trying to create space and push it off or something.
yeah, I mean,
Something that the other girls on the other team were doing just the same, but they weren't getting called for it. It's
yeah,
like we were getting called for ticky tack stuff, and they weren't getting called until it was like major, obvious that if they don't call it, the boss is going to be calling them on the phone tomorrow, suspending them for refereeing games in the future.
it was not a well officiated game.
No.
And again, the only proof you need from the losing side is that
Mm-hmm.
despite the fact that the foul ratio was completely in LSU's direction
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the first quarter, their coach was complaining about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? She got on TV, and she was complaining. By the way, at no point did Lisa Blue they got her on to start the fourth quarter. She wasn't complaining about the
Mm-hmm.
officiating, right?
Nope.
In fact, I feel like they kind of tried to goad her into it, and she was just like, "Look, we're gonna play Caitlin." Maybe it was the start of the third quarter, but she was like, "No, Caitlin's gonna play. It's a championship game.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Foul
We're
trouble
only
is
they started the fourth quarter only 9 points away after being down 21.
right." Like, hey, congrats to those ladies, man. I got it. I'm so impressed, so in love with
Mm-hmm.
Lisa Bluter and her staff and this team and as a Hawkeye fan, look at our rooms, right?
Mm-hmm.
We bleed black and gold, and we've seen so many good Hawkeye teams not live up to the moment. We've seen so many close calls. We've seen. I go back to Big Ten championship game between Iowa and Michigan a couple years ago, right? Where we were like the football championship. We things didn't go well for us early, but we hung around, and then the doors kind of got blown off. This team got down 21 and got it back to 7 at one point. They just kept fighting. There was at one point where I felt like when Iowa took their first time out, it was probably about a minute too late. And then toward the end of the game, this is the national championship game, right? And I felt like we were trying to get a steal, trying to play defense, and we're down like 13 with maybe a minute and a half left. And I'm like, go ahead and foul, right? Like, you've got to extend this game because, but we didn't. We sort of seem to be playing for the steal or just let it go. I don't understand that. But all year long, this outside of wrestling, I can't recall an Iowa team that had this level of expectation
and met them
or exceeded them. And this team, this wasn't a number 2 team preseason, right?
Right.
They were top 5.
Yeah, they were number 4 to start the season.
Right. So not only did they meet, but they to an extent exceeded. Tell me the last Iowa football team, men's basketball team, hell, at this point, wrestling team that has met or exceeded that, the highest of highest levels of it. You have to tip your cap to these girls. What an amazing year. What a fun year, right? I'm so proud. I'm so proud of the effort. They kept fighting all day today, and at times it definitely felt like 6 against 1 or 6 against 5.
Got to beat the refs and the team. Yeah, I don't know. I think this was a great season. It seemed like it brought the whole state or the whole country together on it.
Right. When was the last time we had
it was so fun. It was fun. Today wasn't fun, but the whole season was fun.
Yeah. And by the way, you know what? People who don't watch women's basketball, people who don't watch college basketball, men's college basketball, they were tuning in, right? I guarantee you, people tuned into this today. And by the way, Kaylin didn't disappoint. She got kind of screwed. I mean, I am trying to measure my.
She didn't get MVP, which I guess because she wasn't on the winning team today. But her numbers and her stats so outfar the girl who won it. I can't even remember her name. Who cares? I call her Eyelash Lady.
Oh, Jesus. Well,
plus
what?
Attitude. And attitude has to go into the most valuable player, too. But, the girl on the winning team got it. I guess that's how they do it.
Sure, why not? You know what, though? I mean, you do have to give credit to the LSU women. I mean, they made open shots, right? They made contested shots. They made that right there at the end of halftime off the backboard, just total slop.
I know it.
Like
it counts.
Right? Absolutely, they all count, and so like it's one of those things. I'm very impressed by the Hawkeye, and I think there's enough pieces there that there's no reason to think that Iowa can't be the favorite next year. Because, I mean, being the national runner-up is one thing, but
Yeah, I think and I think Caitlin will do this next year. Make whoever actually replaces Monica in the lineup. But honestly, between O'Grady and Hannah, I'm not sure either one of them is ready to take over that role. I'm a little disappointed in Hannah, and apparently Coach Bluter was too, because after she made that about
travel.
the millionth travel call in her career, she pulled her and she never got back in the game. And I know she had a couple travel calls, and it always seems that they came when Iowa was making a comeback run.
Well, look, I mean, those fish. About the only thing they got right all game long were traveling calls.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, outside of that, let's give a hand to the officials for getting the traveling calls right all game long.
Yep.
Because they f***ed up everything else. Everything else. I mean, Monica Zazano gets hit in the chin with an elbow. That's a foul on her. Right?
Right.
That's and then get to the other end of the court and
I don't know. Yeah, and then I think when it happened just the opposite way before, no foul. Was it called no foul?
Right. And the fact that the LSU coach, whatever, she was like, let's
McCauley or something. I don't care.
Whatever.
She's too out there for me. She's too flamboyant for me.
Kimmy drag queen, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's like, I want to take a look at it. Why? Anyway.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. It just baffled me, and these lady referees today, they look so young. They don't look like they didn't graduate college a couple of years ago.
Hey, at least none of them were wearing masks.
I'm going to tell you right now, not one of those three should have been in a national championship game. I don't think any of the three should have ever been in the tournament, period. They didn't look old enough. They didn't have enough experience, and as many calls as they blew, I'm sure their evaluator is going to have a field day with this one after he watches film with them.
I don't know. All I can say is this officiating absolutely reminded me of the Iowa-Florida 2006 Outback Bowl. Urban Meyer was coaching Florida. Iowa, just like they did against LSU today, got down, clawed their way back. We kick an onside kick, recovered the onside kick, and they called Iowa for being offside, and
film clips showed over and over again that it was never offsides.
It was just but the officiating throughout the game had the TV guys going, and I think that crew was from like the Sun Belt Conference and whatever, and they were completely out of their element, completely beyond their scope of ability to be efficient officiators, and I've been an official. I have officiated wrestling at the middle school, high school level. It's tough duty. Being an official is hard.
Yeah,
but
it is hard. I refereed at the high school level for soccer.
Yeah,
and after a while, it got so hard for me. I requested only girls' games because the boys' games was too fast for me to catch and what was going on. And at least the girls' games slowed down a little bit. And they kept saying, well, maybe if you can't do any games we want you to do, maybe you shouldn't be out there doing any games.
People who sit up in the stands
Mhm.
And by the way, the stands are, 25, 30 yards off the field.
And by the way,
Typically there's a running track, and then there's space, and then whatever. Like, you do not get a full, even at the high school level, you do not get an appreciation for the speed of the game, whether it's football, soccer, basketball, wrestling. Officiating is tough. Officiating is tough. But those officials today, if you're refereeing in a national championship game, you have to be better than they were today. They were not good. No. And again, this is not an Iowa bias thing. This is LSU's flamboyant coach complaining about the officiating at the end of the first quarter, where they were in the bonus, and Iowa had 0 or 1 fouls called against them, and she was complaining about the officiating. I still don't understand it, but
yeah, I imagine this is one where Lisa Bruder is not going to talk about the officiating publicly because that's the way she is. But correct. I can guarantee you that tape is going to be sent into the NCAA, and she's going to mark out locations and certain fouls that need to be reviewed because, the
NCAA is going to shrug it off and go, look, they hit a bunch of threes. They hit a bunch of play better.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Our perimeter defense sucked tonight. We gave up 65% at the 3-point line. I mean, 65%. How many teams shoot 65% in a game?
I don't know that our perimeter defense sucked. Again, give credit to them, right? Like, they made shots. Go back to that one right before the end of she chucked the ball. It goes off the backboard. She literally was just throwing it up, and it went in.
I hated that girl's attitude. I hated that girl's attitude.
What I hate was toward the end of the game where Caitlin Clark has already been called for a technical for absolutely nothing. And their players are taunting her, doing this and whatever, doing stuff at her. Like, but there were no, anyway.
Yeah, anyway. Jason has finally come aboard. Jason was probably watching an end of an Iowa baseball game or an end of an Iowa softball game before he came on. I'm not sure.
No,
okay.
I had other things. I just got one thing to say. Okay. Chad Greenway wasn't offsides on the onside, and Caitlin Clark didn't do anything to get a technical.
You draw a technical.
For me, that technical was it sealed the deal on the worst officiated game I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if it didn't have anything to do with words that were said before this game. Like, it was so bad officiating, and it was obvious. Like, it was obvious. So, I mean, it was almost like, with all the stuff that was being talked about before the game, that, maybe the refs took it personal as well. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and thank you, Jason, for confirming what I was thinking. I thought maybe I was the only one who was actually thinking that way.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know either, but I mean, but it's awful suspicious, right?
I mean, like, in the very beginning, Monica's second foul, she didn't touch anybody.
Right.
And then, oh goodness, I'm forgetting her name. Big number 44. She'll be a starter next year.
O'Grady?
O'Grady. She didn't touch anybody on her second foul either. Like, and even the announcers replayed it to see what she did, and she jumped straight up and spun her body like this, and she didn't touch the woman at all. So, I mean, it was just so bad that it makes you just think these are the NBA games where people wonder if the refs fixed it, before they got busted for gambling.
Right.
This is
Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's getting ridden up and down the court like she's a school bus.
Yeah.
Well, right? They hands and they were riding her like she's
She still had a mess of points and a mess of assists today. I don't know how many she had, 30-something points, and I don't know how many assists.
She also had a bunch of turnovers.
She did.
Her showboating. I mean, it's not showboating for her, but her fancy passes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's high risk, high reward, right?
Mm-hmm.
When she gets them there, then like the pass to Warnock, if that hit, that would have kept the game alive, right? Because Iowa was they cut it down to 7 with a fast move. And Warnock, who's not the fleetest of foot, if that was to Hannah, that was money, right?
Right.
But Warnock's not quite like that, and it just was a little bit out of reach. That would have cut it to 5.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also have the Caitlin who it might have been 8, and Iowa was coming back, and then she took that 3 from Godsland.
That 3 from about half court, you mean?
Yeah.
She was going up at half court when she shot that.
I mean, and it bounced off, it rimmed out. If it would have went in, that would have been awesome. But it didn't, and it just gave the ball right back to LSU with an 8-point lead.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think because by that time Iowa had seized momentum and she wanted to keep it going, so she thought
I understand that.
Yeah.
That's the high risk, high reward I'm talking about.
Yeah.
She is the ultimate high risk, high reward player with how she plays.
Right.
So, like, granted, she gets it there most of the time, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Iowa doesn't go to the Final Four without her.
Right.
She generates, everything almost. So I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in those moments, in a championship game that I think she needs to, think about what she's doing. Now, I like the pass to that Warnock missed. That was a good pass. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was. If it was, like I said, if it was to Hannah, somebody faster, it would have been perfect. The only complaint that I have are those 2 threes that she took when Iowa was like they were on a 15-2 run, and they get a stop, and then she did it twice where she just put up a 3 for momentum purposes. Like if they go down, Iowa cuts it to 2 or 4, whatever because they were down by 7 for quite a while in the second half, right? When they went on that 15-2 run, it was 5, 7, 8, depending on if they hit a 3 or a 2 because they couldn't guard LSU because if they did, it was a foul.
Yeah, it was just the last couple of minutes of the game where the score started to get out of hand again.
But if they even tried to play defense, it was a foul.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I feel so sorry for McKenna, Monica. That's their last game. They foul out. They couldn't even play most of the game because they were in foul trouble.
Right.
For no reason.
For no reason.
So.
Yeah, and to think some inexperienced referees who didn't know what they were doing took away their last game from them. I mean, win or lose, those girls probably wanted to be on the floor at the end, no doubt about it.
For me, that technical foul it just proved everything to me. Even the announcers they had to go back and rewatch it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, I just keep going back to the technical because that was Caitlin's 4th foul.
4th foul, yeah.
So she couldn't play defense then, right? And she couldn't drive the lane because she could have got an offensive foul. So she was subjected to pretty much only taking jumpers, which is not her game, all right? She drives to the basket. She gets and ones, gets knocked to the ground, but she couldn't take that chance with having 4 fouls.
I know.
That's technical. When she didn't do a thing, she didn't say anything.
Right.
She threw the ball back to the ref.
The sad part was at the time that the tech was called, they actually said on the broadcast, the tech was called because of something she said and throwing the ball.
Well, then they went back and looked, and they saw that she didn't say anything.
And they're like, wait a minute, she didn't say shit.
Yeah, she didn't say a word.
Sorry, YouTube.
It'll be all over YouTube. It'll probably be on Facebook tonight. All the clips of it.
Oh yeah, who are all these smart people who know what they're doing are going to have that? What did Caitlin Clark? You know how many views that's going to get? What did Caitlin Clark do to get the technical?
Yeah. Right.
We're trying to figure it out.
That probably that changed the game at that point, and at that point, I just felt like there was no comeback in the tank. And
once she got her fourth foul, it changed the game.
Well, the same with Monica because she got her fourth at the same time, and that Monica couldn't play her usual way either.
That was the turning point in the game.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what anybody says, I mean, there was this sequence where Monica fouls out. Caitlin Clark gets hit with a bullshit technical foul. They get 4 free throws and the ball, and it was just like.
Can I point out, though, that they only hit 2 of those free throws? They missed 2 of them.
Sorry.
They still got 2 free points. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they got the ball, too, didn't they?
I think so.
Yeah. And they probably scored off of it. At 65%, I'm sure they scored.
The ball. They get 4 3 there.
My I don't know. My eyes are looking weird, so.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
It looks like I've been doing some crying or something.
Okay. You shave your hair?
Who,
or
me?
is it just because you always wear a hat or a bandana so I don't notice it before? Are your hair always like that?
Yeah.
Army man look. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, guess what? Nobody is commenting or anything. So let's talk football a little bit, right? Spring football is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Hack.
Yes, dear.
What can you tell us? Anything? Can you give us?
Are you hearing rumors coming out of camp?
I thought
you give us anything?
I thought maybe
off the record.
I just, for the record, want to say we all look drunk or something. Paul looks. Are you drunk?
I'm heavily medicated, so if I say something stupid, guys, cut me off before I go further.
Paul looks like Jim Brewer right now to me through the. If you know who that is, Saturday Night Live guy. Anyway,
I did want to, before he goes on with his insights here, I did want to apologize. I realized at the end of the game, I forgot to put on my Gabby t-shirt, and I always wear it during the games. And so, I'm sorry, guys. It's probably my fault. If I had the Gabby shirt on, everything would have been gone good.
I just want to talk a little football because...
Okay. All right. Let's talk football.
I'm a little sad right now, and football always lifts me up.
Yeah.
Well, I will say the softball team today beat Northwestern, who's our ranked.
Go Hawks!
Well, then it means they went 1-1, right? Or they beat them twice?
No, they went 1-1.
Okay.
They won.
They won one against the 20th ranked Northwestern.
Okay, cool.
Baseball beat Maryland today, 12-8, and Maryland.
How about them Hawks?
And Maryland is the top team in the Big Ten.
What's our weekend record against Maryland?
What?
What's our weekend record so far against Maryland?
Well, it's over. They're 1-2.
1-2. Okay.
They got a 5-0 lead on Friday, and then lost it. So.
All right.
I watched that. Was that the one I watched on Friday with you? We were both talking about it, where they went ahead and pitched Breck into the 5th inning, and
you guys are blowing up my phone while I'm at work. Yes.
Oh my God! I said to Jason, I go, now I know why they don't pitch Breck into the 5th inning.
You can't. Now he's got to get stronger, or this is. But most kids, or no, I can't say kids. Most players with his kind of arm. Can't go very long because he's put so much pressure on it. He threw a fastball 104 miles an hour.
I saw that at the time that they threw it.
Right. So and then when they brought him out in the 5th inning, his fastball was 97. So that tells you the difference. Like he probably averaged 101 on his fastball, right? Now you say 97 is fast, but
For
for
him, it's
him,
slow. It slows it down for Maryland.
He's got to adjust how he throws with the 97 because he throws with it going 101. Like he throws an 89-mile-an-hour slider. That is crazy. So the 89-mile-an-hour off-speed pitch. That's coming in like most of Iowa pitchers' fastballs, right? They don't have another pitcher that can hit 97. But once you figure out you're getting pitched for 4 innings with the 100-mile-an-hour fastball and you see it, you know when you drive fast and you're driving fast and you just get used to that speed? Well, that's kind of like this. And then the hitters, when he slows down to like 97, they're seeing the ball. They can see the ball more. It's slowing down. And there's
a lot of guys that top out at 97, though.
What?
What's that?
There's a lot of guys who top out at 97.
Well, no, that's what the point is. The batters aren't used to 101 or 104 even, right? You get used to 101, and then 97 is not fast.
Right.
It's not as fast when you're seeing it fly by, and all of a sudden on 97, you're seeing the laces on the ball.
Yeah. At one point, his pitching was so phenomenal. At one point, he had struck out 8 of the first 9 batters that he faced.
Yeah. His first, and it's like that, been like that all year. His 5th inning, and they just started letting him pitch 5 innings starting last week, right? And the same thing happened. Once he hits 65 pitches, he goes downhill. But there's like Rick Sutcliffe, if I remember right, in the major leagues was like that. There's a lot of pitchers who have his kind of arm. He's got to get stronger, or he's got to learn how to pitch when he's fatigued, when he doesn't have that heat, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, I was thinking, if you guys remember Randy Johnson, like he could be like a Randy Johnson type pitcher if he can get more endurance. Like he doesn't have the endurance to go past 4 innings.
Yeah, but Randy Johnson was mainly a save pitcher, right? He'd come out and save the game, or he wasn't a starter, was he?
Yes.
He was a starter?
Yes.
Hey,
okay. Now, what am I thinking then? I thought he was the one that they brought out, when they wanted to save the game.
No, he was a starter and he was a stud. He's the one that made a bird explode, if you guys remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But you say he could be Randy Johnson. I say, you know what? If he focused on football, he could be Randy Moss.
There you go.
He is the same size as Moss. Now, I guarantee he don't have Moss's speed, but he's got Moss's body frame. Okay, that's my hardball talk. Yeah. I just wanted to update that because
no problem. On softball this morning, and I had to talk to you, Jason, before I realized that I sat through 10 innings of yesterday's game that I thought was today's game because I go on BTM Plus and it says women's softball versus Northwestern right now. Watch now. So I click now. I'm going through this and I'm getting excited for a while. And
well, it was a great game. And just think about it. This is Iowa, who was projected in the bottom of the league, going against Northwestern, who's the number 1 team in the league. And they held their own for 10 innings. And then they did it today, and they actually pulled it off today. So, no, softball is looking good. Baseball is looking good. They had that famous mid-of-the-week loss when they play everybody they shouldn't. I mean, it's how they get the players who don't play on the weekend some time, right? So they lost to Illinois State.
Which is why they lost to Illinois State in the middle of the week.
Yeah, they had to lead the whole game, and then they didn't have a pitcher. Is Paul falling asleep?
No, I'm right here.
Are you looking at your phone at least?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Paul always wants to talk football. What insights did you have? What have you been hearing?
He looks like he was falling asleep. But anyway, for football, the exciting things right now is, I was hearing before, that video I shared, like Cade is doing really well against Iowa's defense. Oh, and I was also told the reason why Petrus always started when everybody but the coach would not try anybody else is because in practice, Padilla and Joey were throwing a lot of interceptions, and Petrus didn't. right? So
Okay.
that's why they kept starting Petrus over the others. Oh, but that's why Coach Kirk. That's why Kirk did, because the quarterback is his final decision. So, so then that brings me to this, where Cade is doing, great against Iowa's defense. He's doing so good. Like you saw that video where, uh, help me out. What's his name in the video?
Cooper?
Oh goodness, DeJean. Why couldn't I remember?
Yeah, where they were smack talking each other.
Yeah, it's so good for the offense where Cooper was like, well, yeah, it's easy to be good when you don't have an offensive or a defensive line coming at you, right? When the other quarterbacks couldn't even do that, right? Nate Stanley couldn't do that. He threw a lot of picks in practice against Iowa's defense. So Cade, and in the 7-on-7, well, how I do it is you get 4 seconds to throw the ball. I'm sure that's how Iowa does it, because 4 seconds is good protection, right? So you gotta be able to at least you gotta be able to get the ball out in 4 seconds. That's your goal, right? If you can get it out in 3 seconds, that's even better. But in 7-on-7, you get like 4 seconds to throw the ball, or it's a sack.
Yeah. Well, there was one of those film clips where Cooper came running at him, and obviously he's not allowed to tackle him, so he had to run past him.
Right,
he would have been sacked there.
Well, there's also nobody blocking, right?
Yeah, right.
So what Cooper's job is to blitz and try to make him throw it off in the God's country, right? Just distract him.
Right.
So,
I just thought it was kind of cool how they were giving each other crap. I loved it. I just love the banter between the two.
Cade was like, "Don't worry, the offense is getting better. Like it's not your fault. The offense is just getting too good." So, Cade is looking really good now, and he's already proven that he's accurate, right? The question is his knee. How's he going to throw the ball once people do start falling around his legs, right? Because he's already had that knee injury. That's the key thing for most quarterbacks coming back from a knee injury is how they respond when players are falling all over their feet. So that's going to be the interesting part. Yeah. Or he just knows where he's going to throw the ball because he can read the defense, right? He knows where to throw it. So maybe it won't be that big of a deal for him. And I mean, it's exciting. And you saw, if I remember right, that's the video. I've watched so many of those that get sent to me that I think in that particular video, wide receivers were getting catches, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Like he was completing to the
wide completing passes to the wide receiver. He got one to Rahagini into the end zone that perfectly laid out pass right in front of him. Yeah. That was beautiful.
That's going to be the key. I think Regini is going to have a monster year because he now has, like he did with Nate Stanley, he had somebody who could get him the ball.
Right. And he hadn't had that since his freshman year.
Correct. I mean, I think he'll be the all-time leading receiver. Granted, it's going to be his 5th year, right? So he's going to have 5 seasons to do it. People say that. Kind of like J-Bo, in the Big Ten three-pointers. But anyway, there's a lot of injuries around though.
That's what concerns me is all the injuries, and you never get a cohesive spring practice when you got all these people you're keeping out. Like I think the wide receiver room is pretty well shot.
I think the wide receiver room is going to be better than you think, though. I really do. Yeah. I mean, because like last year, like I was saying, I have a lot of videos of the walk-on wide receivers wide open and the ball is thrown into God's country, right?
Yep.
Even from the South Coast State game, there was nobody around Peters, and he threw it into the ground with Alec Wick, a walk-on wide receiver, running across the middle. Just a simple in route that I would have completed, not being cocky. It's just a simple in route. No, there wasn't a linebacker. There was nobody there. Him coming inside, it was just an easy toss, and he threw it into the ground. Alec Wick dove and tried to even get a hand on it. I can't remember. I don't even think he got a hand on it.
All right. So, Coach Heck, is there anything from spring that you could divulge without divulging?
No, we're talking about spring right now. I'm not going to say, no. I'm not going to say a few things. You guys know that.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I'll text him. I'll text some things to you if that's what you guys want.
Sure.
That's what I want. Text me, baby. Text.
I'm not gonna say some things on here. No,
how's our number one running back looking? Anybody know?
Well,
our number 2 and 3 are all seem to be all intact from the pictures I've seen.
Whoa, man, you got some. Did you see that cloud of smoke?
Oh yeah, and that'll probably be the one that YouTube chooses.
Yeah. Well, he looks crazy. What was I gonna say? Oh no, the running backs are. I mean, everybody is doing well right now, right? But it's spring. Running backs don't.
Sure.
You just go through drills, and the way Kirk does his spring, like it's just practices. They don't even have a spring game, right? He does not treat spring the way other coaches do.
No.
So spring is basically learning the playbook for the new guys. It's almost like rookie week in the NFL. When rookies show up to camp without the other players, they show up to learn, right? Learn, do simple things to get their feet wet. And that's kind of how Kirk, right now, what Cade's doing is just learning the playbook. Eric All, same thing. He's learning the playbook from a tight end position. So, I mean, yeah, spring ball, there's really not a whole lot to tell because they don't really do much. What they don't is about because they do hit, right? I mean, Kirk always loves hitting. That's why he hates 7-on-7 because there's no hitting. It's the craziest thing to me. Yeah. That's why you don't have an offense. You can't have an offense if you're not working 7-on-7. The quarterback has to be able to read it.
Well, he does 7-on-7 drills on the kids' day. I know that. Whether he does it in practice, I do not know.
He doesn't during the season. I know.
Okay. Like I believe you. I just saying I've been to the kids' day and they always end it with about an hour of 7-on-7.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what they're doing now too. They do 7-on-7 in practice because I mean you have to. The only way to learn your playbook, like you learn a playbook by positions, right? The offensive line learns it together. They don't learn it as a team. So your quarterback puts things together in 7-on-7 without the offensive line. So the receivers learn the playbook together. Quarterbacks learn the playbook together, running backs, and so on. You don't learn it as a team. Then you come together in 7-on-7 and you put everything you learned together, right? So, no, 7-on-7 is big. I mean, in my opinion, Kirk don't do it, but I think it explains a lot. So.
Yeah. Well, let's just bring this back because we're going to run out of time here in a few minutes. Let's just bring this back to the women's season and what we see for next year. Like who's going to replace Warnock and who's going to replace Sonano in the lineups as the starters, and who's we know we've got Caitlin back as a starter, we've got Marshall back as a starter, and we've got Martin as the starter next year. You see, like Sydney, how do you say Halford? Alfalter, yeah, as a replacement for Warnock.
I mean, she won't play for Warnock. She's a guard.
Okay,
but she comes in as a guard. She comes in with Molly, and so I see Warnock's position being Stolke.
Oh, that's true. That's true because she could play both that and Sonano's position.
Yeah, she plays when you see Sonano and Stolke on the floor together. Hannah is in for Warnock.
Yeah, the only problem that bothers me about Hannah is that she can't hit the three like Warnock can.
Well, no,
I mean, but Hannah can drive to the hoop if she just quit walking.
Well, she's a true freshman.
Right.
I mean, she's not. And in high school, she didn't have to dribble in high school. She was the best girl on the floor. She was probably the Monica Sonano of high school basketball, right?
Right.
She would get down low, body somebody up, and put the ball in.
Right.
So she'll learn from the best big coach in the country.
Yeah. Right? So if she takes Warnock's spot, then that probably means O'Grady has
That's the way I see it. Whether if they do something different, maybe they go smaller and have a quicker lineup for Caitlin, right? Because they like to run. So maybe they do put another guard in for Warnock because Warnock played the 4. You know that, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe they do find, and then Hannah plays the 5. I guess it just depends, but O'Grady looked good today.
Yeah, she did. I think, she showed her colors that she can do this. She just needed the minutes, and today she had the minutes to prove herself.
And and the last game, like Final Four, she played a lot.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she has.
She was big.
Yeah.
So, I think next year she could end up being the next Monica Sanana, right?
Yeah.
Because they have the best bigs coach. I don't think we have to worry about the bigs because of who the coach is, right?
Right. Do you think we have any concern about anybody leaving? Like maybe this Taylor girl. Taylor, I can't think of her last name. I think her number 2,
McKay.
or even Sydney leaving, because this is like her second year in the program right now, and even next year it looks like she's off the bench person. Or do you think she's happy with her playing time and she stays put?
I mean, that's all up in the air. Who knows, right?
I know that.
There's a national championship runner-up. There's nobody on the bench right now going, oh, there's a better situation out there for me.
And they get to play with Caitlin Clark.
Right? Correct. So
I think one of the sad things about next year is that Ava Jones still won't be able to play, and it would have been fun to watch Ava Jones and Caitlin Clark going to town together, guard for guard, and just putting up their threes, and
Yeah, I mean,
and if Caitlin comes back and Ava is able to go the following year, if she's able to, that would be fun to watch those two together.
Yeah.
All
right, guys, I've got to get to bed. I know it's early, but it's not. But it's late, but it's not.
Okay.
No, I mean, we can tell. We're looking at you. We can tell you gotta get to bed.
Paul, it's only 10 minutes to 6 o'clock. What are you thinking?
It's that California time, Paul. You know how it goes.
Yeah, Paul, you got to start living on California time.
Do we have anything else to say about tonight's game?
We really don't, but I just want to know, do you guys ever think it's funny that when you guys are up, I'm up in the middle of the night on my end, texting you guys back?
Sometimes I'm like, but then I realize, oh, it's only 10 o'clock his time,
I'm not into dealing with your issues, right? Put it on silent. That's the way I do. That's the way that's the way I treat. I mean, I'm not going to be like, oh, Dean's still sleeping. Because I'll be like, he better have his phone on silent.
Right?
Oh, I'm already up. I ignore it if I hear it dinging. Trust me, I don't look at it if I'm sleeping good. But because this past week I've been up all night long, rarely sleeping any weeks.
Hey, before we sign off, I just want to say happy Palm Sunday to all of our watchers, all 6 of you, or however many there may be. Big week for us, non-sports wise, right? And hey, the Lord bless you and keep you. This is what we're here for. Go out, spread the word, do your thing. Go Hawks, go Jesus, kick ass.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Thank you. And don't sit in the dark like I am right now. You guys didn't even tell me I'm in the dark. I was such in a hurry that I didn't.
I did notice you were in the light before.
Oh, yeah. The sun. That was the sun. The sun's going down now.
Oh, well, damn.
Okay. All right. We'll get out of here, guys. I'm going to let you go. Paul, Jason, thank you for coming on and giving us your thoughts and stuff. I know that everybody else is too, but we have our own thoughts, and so it's nice to go out there and give our thoughts as well.
Absolutely. Hey, we're all Hawk fans, and we're all here. We love the fact that our page is growing, and why it's growing is because we we stand for the right stuff, and we're against the right stuff at the same time. So,
Right.
Go Hawks!
Go Hawks!
Hawks!
Go Hawks!
All right.
Bye.
Good.